A 17-year-old boy appeared in an English court on Thursday, charged with the murder of 3 young girls in a knife attack at a summer dance class that has shocked the nation and sparked 2 nights of violent protest. Exero Dakubana first appeared at Liverpool Magistrates Court over Monday's incident at a Taylor Swift yoga and dance workshop summer vacation events for children in the seaside town of Southport. The attacker was falsely alleged on social media to be a Muslim, an asylum seeker, or both. Or some even said it was an undocumented immigrant, and has led to anti-immigration protests and far-right riots in England and Northern Ireland since 30th of July 2024. The first riot started in Southport, and later many protests and riots spread across the country. The riots have involved racist attacks, arson, and looting. The riots have been fueled by underlying Islamophobic, racist, anti-immigrant sentiments and disinformation about the identity of the Southport stabber. Far-right groups spread misinformation online, and the UK government, under Starmer, has accused Russia of spreading disinformation to stoke the unrest. The riot began on the 30th of July when a crowd gathered to protest outside Southport Mosque after false claims that the mass stabbing suspect was a Muslim. It included supporters of the Islamophobic and long-disbanded English Defence League and members of the neo-Nazi group Patriotic Alternative. The protesters attacked police officers, burnt a police van, and attacked the mosque. Over 50 officers were injured and 3 police dogs were wounded as well. Which brings us to the heated debate between Piers Morgan and Andrew Tate, in which Piers accused Andrew Tate of spreading misinformation about the incident. In a video released by Andrew Tate after the incident, that is after 29th of July killings, Andrew Tate said the perpetrator was an undocumented immigrant, and the people of UK don't even have a backbone and can't stand up for themselves since they can't protest in the first place or complain about the situation. Anyway, here's the video.
So an undocumented migrant decided to go into a Taylor Swift dance class today and stab 6 little girls. That's right, somebody arrived in the UK on a boat. Nobody knew who he was. Nobody knows where he's from. The media is, of course, hiding the fact that this is a 17-year-old male. They don't want to highlight how ridiculous it is that we allow military-aged males, combatants, to flood our shores. I don't see any protests in the UK. I don't see anybody complaining. Nobody's outside of the school. Nobody's outside the police station. The soul of the Western man is so broken that when the invaders slaughter your daughters.
So Piers Morgan criticized Andrew Tate for spreading misinformation and asked why he did that in the first place. Anyway, here is Andrew Tate's response.
Well, firstly, I'll start by saying I didn't know Nigel Farage said those things about me, which is a shame because I'm actually a fan of him. I think he's trying to do the right thing. I also understand in his political sphere, sometimes he has to hang other people out to dry to save himself because he's getting heat also. Secondly, I'll argue with you about the fact that everything I said was untrue. I think the only thing I said that was untrue is that perhaps he was undocumented. It was a 17-year-old male. It was a migrant. He did kill little girls. And advocating for people to stand outside and make it clear that they're unhappy with what happened is not a dangerous ideology. We live in a democracy where we have the right to protest and the right to make it clear when our voices are not heard.
In his response, Andrew Tate holds that advocating protest is not a dangerous ideology because in democracy, people have the right to protest. Andrew Tate claims to be a Muslim, but I don't think he knows the Islamic rulings on democracy and protest. First, democracy is a man-made system, meaning rule by the people for the people. Thus, it is contrary to Islam because rule is for Allah, the Most High, the Almighty, and it is not permissible to give legislative rights to any human being, no matter who the person is. Undoubtedly, democratic system is one of the modern forms of shirk in terms of obedience and following or legislation, as it denies the sovereignty of the Creator and its absolute rights to issue laws and ascribes that right to human beings. And as for advocating protest, the basic comprehensive principle of Sharia is that it is not permitted to remove an evil by means of a greater evil. Evil must be warded off by that which will remove it or reduce it. Warding off evil by means of a greater evil is not permitted according to the scholarly consensus. Protest in most cases leads to loss of properties and chaos, which is what is happening currently in the UK. Piers Morgan said it was put out on social media that the perpetrator was a Muslim, an undocumented immigrant, and that he was on the MI6 watch list as a potential terrorist, all of which were misinformation. Piers went on saying that Andrew Tate posted a wrong picture of the perpetrator on a social media account on the 30th of July, when in fact the press withheld his identity at that time. And the post that Andrew Tate put on social media got about 4.3 million views.
Things. Now, you posted on July the 30th, the day after the killing, and I feel particularly incensed, by the way, that the deaths of these 3 young girls have been hijacked in such a reprehensible manner to attack Muslims when a Muslim had nothing to do with it, right? You put this on July the 30th, you posted a picture saying, "This is the man from Cardiff." We're looking at this picture now. That murdered the little girl straight off a boat, you said. Really? He wasn't straight off a boat, because this wasn't the person who perpetrated the crimes. You got 4.3 million views for this. And a community notes clarified, this is not the man that attacked the children and adults in Southport. This image is of Kasonga Mabulu, who was arrested in Ireland in 2023 for a random knife attack at Dublin Airport. So
one just has to be very, very careful what you read and assimilate on the social media platforms, and also from those so-called influencers, as some of their information at times may be wrong. And recently, Andrew Tate have been associating with a far-right thug by the name Tommy Robinson, who has been saying some Islamophobic things lately. On Twitter, Andrew Tate said, "As a Muslim, Tommy Robinson is correct in a lot he says here. I do not allow my faith to prevent me from listening to somebody's words and understanding what they say. That is what liberals and females do. I'm a man. The British are angry for the same reason the Gazans are angry. Oppressed men who face losing their lands will fight back." No, there's no way you should be comparing what is happening in the UK to what is happening in Gaza. In Gaza, hundreds of lives are being lost every single day. Men, women, mostly children, die every single day. Properties are lost in Gaza every single day. And besides, siding with a kafir, an unbeliever, in order to talk about or talk trash about Muslims is completely out of it. It does not make any sense in Islam. The Prophet said that you belong to the religion of your friends, so choose carefully whom you want to have as a friend. Mohammed Hijab said, "My brother, I have always supported you, but you are severely off the mark on the following points. 1. Your acquaintance to far-right figures like Tommy Robinson is haram, that is, it is forbidden, as he is an enemy of Islam. Now, your lack of condemnation of far-right thugs who attacks a mosque and who attacks Muslims and Islam more generally. Having said that, your anti-immigration political views, despite me considering to be off-key and wrong, are not blasphemous, kufur, to my knowledge. Please understand though, they detriment the Muslim community, and anything that detriments the Muslim community is bad. Many far-right hooligans want no peace with us, that is with the Muslims. They consider us to be an impossible subject. Our existence frustrates them. You are one of us. They will never accept you fully until you embrace their beliefs." Muslims have been calling out Andrew Tate that doing this is actually betraying Muslims. You may ask, who is Tommy Robinson? Tommy Robinson is the popular far-right anti-Muslim and anti-immigration activist who has worked tirelessly for decades, attempting to demonize Muslims and ethnic minorities who live peacefully in Britain. He is also the co-founder of the EDL, English Defence League. His 8 marches across the UK, in which thousands of like-minded racist thugs and Islamophobes come together and chant Islamic slogans mocking the religion of Islam.
Every British person today is offended with people shouting Allah Akbar,
while accusing Muslims who follow their religion of being extreme. Here's Andrew Tate's response.
Muslims, as you know, have been ranting about you for the last few days and utterly betraying them because you've decided to associate yourself with Tommy Robinson, who is a far-right thug, who has been spewing utter horrible Islamophobic anti-Muslim rhetoric all week, and yet you have not distanced yourself from him. So the Muslim community in the UK now view you as part of the enemy too. You know that. How do you feel about that?
Well, I pray for my brothers, and I think the information I've seen and the replies I've seen have not been hateful from the Islamic community. Saying to Tommy Robinson that I will debate him on issues, I don't think is failing to distance myself. I debate you all the time, Pierce, and we disagree on basically everything. I'm happy to argue with Tommy because we disagree on so many different points of view, and I think it's very important that we have conversation. The reason these riots are happening in the first place is because everybody's afraid to talk. I'm prepared to sit down with somebody I don't like and don't agree with.
That's complete nonsense.
I'm prepared to talk to Tommy.
That's nonsense. The reason the riots are happening is people like you and Tommy Robinson have been spewing utter disinformation, which has led people to believe that the person that perpetrated these despicable crimes was an illegal Muslim migrant who was on the MI6 terror watch list.
Firstly,
right. I'm saying you and Tommy Robinson,
let's be careful.
between you, okay. I'm saying between you,
but
you
where's
put
the
out
logic
there
failure?
a completely false impression.
Andrew Tate may or may not be in support of whatever Tommy is saying about Islam, but he doesn't want to admit that he has done what Tommy Robinson did by spreading misinformation that the perpetrator was an undocumented immigrant which has led to riots against people, especially the Muslims in the UK. See, Andrew owes his audience and the Muslim community an apology for spreading misinformation, for being in support of protest, and for associating with an enemy of Islam. Anyway, that will be all for this video. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.